Welcome to The Explainer. The King's Christmas message is an annual tradition. We all know that. But this year's address, it just felt different. It felt like a message crafted specifically for a world in turmoil. So let's unpack what King Charles was really trying to say. I mean, let's be honest. With global conflicts, domestic tensions, the world can feel pretty fractured right now. And that brings us to the big question we're tackling today. In an age of such deep division, what was the king's message, and how did he even try to make it connect with all of us? So why is this one speech so important anyway? Well, here's the thing. It's the one time all year that the monarch speaks directly to the public with absolutely no government input. It's a completely personal message, which means it's a rare chance to see what the king himself thinks is most important. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll get into the personal nature of the message. Then, we'll look at his big call for unity and his praise for some modern-day heroes. After that, we dive into a really surprising plea for stillness. And finally, we'll figure out what this all says about the kind of king he's trying to be. Okay, so the king delivered this deeply personal message, right? And it all kicked off with a setting. It was recorded in Westminster Abbey, and the whole speech was built around this single powerful idea, pilgrimage. You know, a journey with real purpose. So he takes the classic Christmas story and basically uses it as a mirror for our times. He highlights the homeless arrival of the Holy Family, the long journey of the wise men, the shepherds coming from the fields, and the lesson he pulls from all of this, it's that we find our strength through the kindness and companionship of others. That right there became the foundation for everything else he said. So, starting from that very personal theme of pilgrimage, the king then made this powerful call for unity, and to do it, he actually looked to the past to try and find a way through the divisions we're all seeing today. He specifically brought up the spirit of the World War II generation, which is, a huge touchstone in the British psyche. By referencing the big 80th anniversaries of VE and VJ Day, he reminded everyone of a time the nation faced a massive threat by uniting, basically implying that's exactly the kind of spirit we need right now. And this slide just nails his core argument. On one side, he's totally acknowledging the challenge, these deepening divisions. But on the other, he's offering a solution, one that's rooted in these timeless values of community and compassion. It was a direct plea to focus on what holds us together, especially when so much seems to be pulling us apart. And this message of unity wasn't just in his words. It was also in what we saw and heard, including the Songs for Ukraine chorus performing Carol of the Bells. That was an incredibly powerful symbolic move. It was a clear, deliberate signal of solidarity that really hammered home his theme of standing together. But this whole theme of courage wasn't just stuck in the past. The king then pivoted to celebrate the heroes of today, finding these amazing examples of bravery in the most unexpected places. He paid tribute to ordinary people who, in these moments of just pure crisis, showed extraordinary courage. And he wasn't talking about soldiers on a battlefield. He was talking about regular people on a normal day, instinctively acting to protect one another. Now, to really drive his point home, he didn't just speak in generalities. No, he highlighted two specific, really harrowing events. He talked about the aftermath of the attack at Bondi Beach, and he referenced his own visit to the Manchester Synagogue, where members of the congregation bravely defended their community. So look, this wasn't just about praising people. By highlighting these acts of bravery, he was framing them as a genuine reason for optimism. In a year that's seen so much awful violence, these stories were his way of pointing to a real source of hope for the future. And from there, the message shifted to something, surprisingly modern. The king started talking about a problem that I think a lot of us feel very deeply: the frantic, just overwhelming pace of life today. He really tapped into that feeling, didn't he? That sense that life is just accelerating, that the world is spinning faster and faster, and it's leaving us with almost no time or space for quiet reflection. His solution? It was a poetic one. She actually borrowed a line from the poet T.S. Eliot, urging people to find the still point of the turning world. It was this beautiful call to just find a moment of quiet in all the chaos, to hit pause and renew our minds. Now, this poetic idea was later given a very 21st century interpretation. A palace aide apparently clarified what the king was getting at, framing it as a call for a Christmas digital detox, a chance to switch off our devices and focus on real-world connections with family, friends, and our communities. Okay, finally, to really get the full picture of the kind of reign this speech is painting, you have to look at what wasn't said, because sometimes what's left out is just as telling as what's put in. Royal watchers and analysts were really quick to point out that the entire speech felt deliberately outward-looking. The focus was never on the royal family itself, but on society, on community, and on the world. It was a message with a very clear social purpose. And the contrast here is just so stark. What did he talk about? Unity, community, global events like Ukraine, and what was completely left out? Any mention of his own health or any of the recent difficulties the royal family has faced. This was a clear, intentional choice to put public duty way ahead of any private matters. So when you boil it all down, the king used this incredibly personal platform to make a very public statement about his role. He was positioning himself not as the main character of the nation's story, but as a participant in it, a kind of bridge builder trying to help communities connect. And all of this leaves us with one last, really important question. In our super fast-paced, often cynical world, can a traditional message like this, a call for hope, unity, kindness, and quiet reflection, can it actually cut through all the noise and make a difference? That's definitely something to think about.